Hey CCPS, it's Jeff Lawson. Today is October 14th, 2022, and I just want to take some time and lay out kind of some circumstances of where we are right now. There's been a great deal of concern, communication back and forth with families and citizens of the county about some of the curriculum, whether it's certain books, certain pieces of curriculum, and I'd like to take a minute and lay out exactly where I see us at this point in time. And my remarks will probably be a little longer than usual when I do these videos. I'd like to start out kind of a where we've been, where we are, where we're going sort of thing, and then share what I think is some pretty compelling data with you. To give you a little quick history on where we are, you know, when we sit down and we write curriculum is typically generated off of standards. Standards are published by the state. That's where we are told what to teach. Our teachers, our coordinators, our specialists, they come together and they write curriculum. And the curriculum are the lesson plans, the formative assessments, summative assessments, quizzes and tests, as many of us know them from back in the day. And that is our curriculum. And so we write that internally. And a good example of the things we do is our bookworms curriculum for our elementary school children. It's an open education resource, which means by and large it is free. And our reading program for our elementary learners really is simply a series of books. And that's kind of different compared to what we've done historically in public education. For secondary, a great deal of what we've done is we rely on what we call anchor text. These are texts that we expect all students to read. And then we use a curriculum process that's really grounded in a book called Cracking the Common Core, which is written by a couple of professors, one from the University of Virginia and one from the University of Delaware. And so when we decide on what books we're going to use to teach students how to read, there is a marker out there, it's called a Lexile score. What a Lexile score is, it's a number that assigns a level of difficulty to a particular book. So as you'd imagine, the higher the Lexile score, the tougher the book is to read. We also try to make sure that the book is supporting a standard that's required by the state, and it could be something that students will learn to inference based on reading a particular passage. That's kind of the standard. How we teach that standard is the curriculum. And then finally, we also try to consider what might interest students. As I'm sure you understand, getting some students to read is a little bit more difficult than other students. And so we try to make the things meaningful to students so that they'll pick up a book and read more. So that's kind of historically what we've done. I mean, where we are now is that, you know, based on a growing amount of concern coming from the community, what we've really tried to do is increase the awareness and the communication between the school system and the people we serve. We generated some new policies, took them to our Board of Education late last spring. Last June, our board approved these policies. We took July and August and laid out regulations to support the policies. And so now we do have a process in place specifically to deal with the issue of a family coming forward and saying, look, I object to this book. I know it's been accepted by the school system, but we're requesting that you reconsider that decision. And we have a process called Request for Reconsideration in place that will look at any book, really, that comes forward from a family or a community member for that matter. Something else that we're looking closely is bringing in what's called Bookworms 2. I'd mentioned we have this open education resource called Bookworms. The program is developing and it's growing really across the country, particularly on the East Coast. And now they've come out with Bookworms 2, which with it brings a whole new set of books. And so our folks are working right now to go through each book. If there's something that's potentially objectionable, we have something in place to make sure families are aware of what those concerns might be. Right now, Perryville Elementary School is the school where Bookworms 2 is being piloted this year, and so far it's going really well. Once a request comes to us asking us to reconsider a particular resource, there are a few different outcomes that could come from the committee that consider that request. The first is we take the book and we say, you know what, the book's fine. It stays as is. We disagree with the request for reconsideration and we're going to use the book as we always have. Another option is we may tag an opt-out letter to that book for family awareness. We have asked teachers that when they see a book that's already tagged, and we do have books in our curriculum that have this warning letter, if you will, to send those letters out 2 weeks in advance so the family has an idea that the book is coming. And so you have a chance to take a look at the book, and if you have objections, reach out to your principal, teacher, those kinds of things, and we'll try to help everybody kind of come together on the same page. Another option for the request for reconsideration process is that the book will stay. Now this is for our media centers, which some of you know as libraries. The book will stay in the media center. However, a child would need parent permission before they check it out, so that what's in the library is simply the sleeve of the book. And if the child is interested, the student's interested, they take it to the librarian, and then the librarian reaches out to the family, say, hey, heads up, your son, daughter wants to take a look at this book, are you okay with it? And then finally, in some instances, if the book is completely objectionable, we do have the option of pulling it from a collection or pulling it from our curriculum altogether. And I think it's important to understand, as we move forward, we're proud of the new process we have in place for reviewing books as they come in, and that's something that we've struggled with. Some of our media centers have literally thousands of books on the shelves, and so it's going to take some time to figure out and to share with the community, just so you're aware of the kinds of things that your children are exposed to. And I think that's really the biggest piece. We want to make sure the parents have a choice and a voice in what it is their children are exposed to. And I just think that's the best way to do business. Again, Bookworms 2 will come into full play in 23-24 next year for all 17 of our elementary schools, and we'll continue to work on the parent communication, making sure you're aware. For instance, did you know you can go on to the CCPS app and see what books your child has checked out? That's in place now, and one of the big things is I'm not sure everybody's really aware of that. I would also offer that you take a look at our curriculum online. If you go to our website and just click on instruction, it's a drop down, and it'll show you all the different contents we teach. English, math, science, social studies, reading, everything. And I think you'll find just a rich set of information there that you can see exactly what it is your children are seeing. So in the past couple weeks, we've put out 3 surveys. 2 went to teachers, 1 went to families. And for starters, just thank you for those of you who responded to the surveys just so quickly. We really appreciate it. Our parent survey went out to 9,800 families. And probably within 48 hours, we had over 3,000 responses. And so some of the data you'll see now is, the first one is simply, are you aware that the curriculum is available on the website? And you can see that really 2 to 1 people are aware that it's there. My concern as a superintendent is that a third of our community isn't aware that it's there. So, I like to think there's a lot of faith in the school system and trust in the school system. But please know, I expect us to be scrutinized, and we're certainly here to answer questions when you see things that cause you concern. One thing that came from parents, and one of the questions was, are the instructional resources provided by the school system developmentally appropriate? And so let's face it, what a 16-year-old, from a developmental perspective, is prepared to read versus what a 9-year-old is prepared to read are very different. The good news is that we just have, by and large, huge majorities saying that, yeah, it is developmentally appropriate. So, in my world, I take this kind of thing as a win. It shows that over 90% think that we're kind of doing the right thing in terms of child development when it comes to providing curriculum. Another neat side is that, here again, you're seeing nearly 90% think we offer a real variety of social and cultural perspectives. And so what this starts to drill down to is that we understand it's a very diverse community, and that what I as a parent am in favor of having my child read versus what you are in favor, it likely is different, and it differs across the county. But by and large, to the tune of 90%, sometimes 92, 93%, we have tremendous support from the county. We're really proud of that, and we take that. It's a real credit, I think, to the school system and the culture that we've been able to build. In the past couple of weeks, I've been taking time and going out and visiting with all of our teachers in our 29 schools. And something I emphasize in those meetings is that the value we place on these surveys. Typically, these survey questions are developed by myself with support of my people. And we take the answers very seriously, and we look closely, and it has real impact on decisions that we make for the school system moving forward. So, I think a good example of how something like this provides information for me is the slide that you see here, where it shows that we have about 25% of our community is not aware, and they're not receiving information from the school, from the teacher, and so that's an opportunity for us to improve that number. We really want to make sure that folks are aware of what's out there, again, in transparency and communication. And if you look at the next set of data, many people in the community aren't aware that you can go onto the app and keep an eye on the books that your child is accessing in the library. And again, some of you may say, my child can read whatever book they want. That's completely up to them, that's fine. And then another family in the house next door says, you know what, we want to be informed and keep an eye on what our child is reading. And our job, my job, is to respect both perspectives and make sure the information is there in the event that's information that you want to use. Perhaps the biggest thing for me is this piece of data where it shows that 92%, a full 92% of these nearly 3,000 responses say that if I have a concern about the instructional material in my child's classroom, I feel comfortable approaching the teacher, the administrator, the board office, any of the above. And that's really what we want. We want a culture where families feel comfortable reaching out and just asking for more information or exploring more of what's happening. So that's the information we have with the community survey. Again, nearly 3,000 responses in less than 48 hours, so thank you for that. On the back end, we sent out 2 shorter surveys to our teachers. Right now we have about 1,150 teachers. The response rate here, again, the survey was open for just 48, maybe 72 hours, and we had more than 800 teachers respond. So once again, it shows just how interested people are in what we're doing, and frankly, how supportive our teachers are in the work that we're doing. You can see on this data that 92% of the teachers believe that the content they're teaching, the curriculum they're showing, is developmentally appropriate. So your 3rd grade teacher completely believes that the content for the 8-year-olds in that classroom is appropriate for an 8-year-old. And then the same kind of dynamic for if it's an adolescent or 16, 17-year-old. Here again, we hear sometimes that our teachers are afraid to come forward, that they don't want to teach the things that the county curriculum offers, but they don't want to come and tell their boss that. So we point blank ask the question, if you have a concern, are you comfortable approaching your coordinator, your principal, whoever, regarding that concern? And what we're seeing here is literally 93% of our teachers are comfortable. So when I say coordinator, just so you know, language arts, math, they have a content coordinator. That's the person that supports the teacher as it relates to curriculum. So, it's hard to not be encouraged by the data we're seeing here. And I think I want to make sure that we put to rest this idea that Cecil County no longer teaches the classics. We absolutely, whether it's Shakespeare, Steinbeck, Hemingway, Poe, Angelou, they're all in the curriculum with a heavy footprint. I would urge you, please, if you're not certain, just take 10 minutes, go on the website, poke around, and take a look at what's there. And I think you'll agree we offer a rich bank of reading options for our students. 2017, Cecil County Public Schools was recognized by the state as the fastest improving reading achievement county in the state of Maryland. And it's something that didn't happen by accident. We take this work very seriously, and we're committed to make sure our school system generates strong readers and well-rounded students. And so I think, I will close out with this. 2 pieces. The first is that our goal is to offer parent choice and parent voice in the curriculum that your children see. We want you to know, and we want you to have a say in what's there. If you have concerns, we want you to be comfortable reaching out to your child's teacher, to your child's principal, and all the way through the board office. We're committed to that. And I think from a philosophical perspective, personally, I draw a very stark line between what a child is required to read versus what a child is allowed to read. There's a very serious difference there. We want our anchor text, our required reads, to be there and to be appealing for all students. But I want to make it clear that if one family objects to a read for their child, we will honor that best we can. But what we don't want is that same parent to determine what the next child reads. And so we really want that to be a parent choice. So again, I thank you for your support. This was a little bit longer than usual. It's Friday. Have a great weekend, and go Phillies.